So what is the root of that? What is the root of your fear? Why is there such a fear of letting your true self out?
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talking to you guys about Married at First Sight. We're going to deal with Karen and Miles. Guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for a notification of the uploads, baby. And for those of you returnees, well, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals, you got the minerals. Alright, cool, let's get it going, baby. Mineral gang. You get me? Mineral gang. Alright, cool. So, just dealing with Karen and Miles, I think it was very, very interesting because we got to see, I guess towards the end, the real reason why Karen says she can't really be intimate or I guess really close with Miles. Because she's consistently trying to figure out whether Miles is really talking a good game or whether he really is who he says he is. I think one of the things I really picked up from their conversation is actually, let's look at this particular scene where herself and Miles are talking to Dr. Calvin. I think what's really interesting about their scene is the way the body language is going. So as you can see that, you know, Miles it's close to Karen, but it is not close enough. Like, this is not couple close. We're still trying to grow, right? And I think that's evident from the space between them two as well. The fact that obviously more time he keeps his hands open, but towards Dr. Calvin and not towards her. At one point he does, but a majority of the case he puts his arm towards Dr. Calvin. And I thought that was, again, a very interesting tactic. When they first started sitting down, also, Karen also didn't turn her body immediately to face Dr. Calvin and Miles. Again, it was more of a case she was facing the exact same way that Miles was. And so, unlike every other couple who was trying to, I guess, keep the conversation in a open up the conversation and have, I guess, eye contact, physical body language, like mirroring the other people. We don't see that from Karen. In the sense of, I shouldn't say mirroring, open body language. So what we see Karen do is sit down, just as Miles is sitting down, but facing forward. And then she changes it as the conversation goes. And I believe the reason why she did that first is because she's not a very open person. You've got to ask very direct questions to get her to open up. Why? Because she's guarded. She's making sure that no information slips through the net that you can use against her. And I think that's one of the reasons why she does that. Also as well, what's interesting is the way that Miles obviously reacts to her. I think at one point she said something about, you know, we're not in love yet, we're not that close to, and you know, his face kind of shows this kind of storm in his eyes where he's trying to be patient, but it's hurting him what he's hearing right now. And then obviously we see a difference in that behavior when he begins to speak about how he's attracted to her. You see this bounce and this joy and this bodiness energy. And I think that's just, again, that's a reaction to the fact that, look, he is explaining the fact that how good he feels being around Karen and what she makes him feel like. Unlike his counterpart, we don't see that same energy. In fact, we've seen a lethargic energy from Karen right through the series. And I think, again, we've had some impacts where she is a bit bright. You know, we get to see her earlier on before that when they're in the house, and you can see her energy is a bit more bright. She's making a few jokes. You know, she makes a little joke when he's when he's about to go into sit on the couch of her house, and when she tells him to get don't stuff on my carpets, etc. When they're both going into the cupboards, you can see a little bit of lightness and a bit of banter. So she is warming up. Right, we've seen that last episode as well. There's a little bit of warming that's happening. And then there was an interesting thing that happened as well during their conversation, which I found quite key. When they were at the house going to move out of the various houses, he actually grabbed her to put his hands around on her face, basically, to rub her.
Picture in your mind. You picture in your mind right now. Picture in your mind right now.
I'm sorry, you have a
temple, right? And at first it looked like, when I saw it, I was like, okay, cool. Is she gonna allow it or not? And at first, it looked like she wasn't properly allowing it. And then,
No, wait. Picture in your mind right now. How many shoes you have in your closet, right? And then we're gonna picture how many I have in my.
And as a few other shots cut in, we can see that he again goes for it once more, and he's doing it. But as he's doing it, something that's really interesting happens. Her hands don't go down. Now, her voice, her tone, and what she says is, listen, that's really relaxing, I can really fall asleep, right? But her hands don't show that.
I can actually go to sleep like this.
Yeah? Okay, well, wake up.
What I mean by that. When your hands look, someone's doing this to you, and your hands are here in between, right? You're not holding anything, your hands just here. It's slightly kind of awkward. That's almost like a self-defense kind of scene, right? Like I knew she didn't put her hands on him to stop me from doing it, but it's almost like she didn't trust him. It was as if she really didn't trust him, and so wouldn't allow herself to let her guard completely down. So her hands came up, and you can see her hands are there, but she does allow him eventually to rub her temple, which is a good sign, which means that she's not against physical touch. As she said later on in the conversation, Dr. Calvin, she's open to it. It's just that she's been hurt in the past and she's very cautious towards it. That being said, let's get into that to deep a little bit more about what's being said. She made a very point about very early on about how she felt about the age situation. So she came clean again, explained that she felt a certain way about the age situation. And I found it was quite interesting because as they were moving stuff around into a new apartment, they mentioned about an Xbox. And the way she said Xbox, there was a tone on it. There was a small indignation behind it, almost like to say, listen, Xbox, grown-ass man playing Xbox, and again, reducing him back to an age of 26 rather than dealing with who you've got in front of you.
Xbox right there.
Xbox, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Playing it a lot?
Enough.
Okay.
Got a problem?
Huh?
Got a problem?
Oh.
Age ain't nothing but a number. I can do this thing. So, when you see that, unfortunately, she keeps bringing it back to the age of being a number. And I understand why. I am not actually kidding her. I get it. 4 years younger than you, especially when we know what we know about men and women, it can be a very daunting prospect. So I understand that. When they got to the house, they both have so much clothes, but I guess it's very more odd when you see a man have so much clothes and shoes.
You have more shoes than me.
I don't.
You do.
I don't. Do you think this would be helpful to have in there?
And I wonder, and again, this may lead into a factor of what she may say again is the feminine man. Why? Because the feminine man obviously always tries to make sure he's presented well, looking clean, looking sharp, always looking, well done, takes long to get prepared, etc., etc. Has many different clothes and shoes to change into because he's got more of a feminine touch, right? And I wonder if that was going through her head, that, wow, this guy's got how many trainers? How many pairs of trainers has he got? How many pairs of shoes has he got? Like, I wonder if that played in her mind that, okay, this is not a masculine such thing to do, right? Because remember, her idea of masculinity is that kind of old school, stoic behind the behavior, heroic kind of man, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't fit Miles. And I think the shopping also, with the fact that he had so many shoes, didn't fit that. Because women don't want to feel like they're being competed against in beauty. No, women don't want to. No, that's why we say handsome and beautiful, or handsome and pretty, right? These words have, although they can be launched at anybody, they have gender ties behind them. So when we say someone's pretty, you don't say a boy's pretty. You say, oftentimes you don't say a boy's pretty. Oftentimes you say a girl's pretty. And when a boy looks pretty, he has some feminine or feminine features. You understand? That will look cute on a girl too. So it's like, for her, I wonder if she was looking at her shoes and thinking to herself, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is not the masculine that I'm wanting to see. It's not the masculito that I want. And obviously, again, about the messy house situation, obviously, the dad said, obviously, you know what, he can be a little bit messy. Bruh, everything was everywhere when she came in. So even if that wasn't the case, your house right now, bro, has proven the case that you're a bit messy, bro. There were shoes on bed, clothes on bed, there was everything on bed. Like, fam, everything was everywhere, blood. So you kind of just proved a point to, again, what your dad and mom were saying, that you're not that clean, bro. Now, like I said, it may have been because you knew that you were going to move out, so there's a lot of things that are out of place, but it looked like, my friends, you weren't organized. It looks like you have a lot of things that are everywhere, and that can show a disorganization in the homely aspect. So you may be very organized out there, but in the home, you may be disorganized, and that, again, can be a turn off, especially when you want a masculine man. But I mean, who says a masculine man is very, very clean or not very, very clean? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, no, who dictates that?
Mints are like hard to come by, Pastor Cal.
Really?
Yeah. So
she doesn't compliment
nice.
a lot.
I mean, she takes a little to open up.
Karen doesn't compliment easy. And I think this is one of the cases that he's dealing with Karen. She's not going to be and this is why I said to her, I'm still scared of the fact that this is more than just, this pain. This also it looks like this is also to do with how she finds him attractive. Like to say, obviously, that, you know, it's one of the rare things, a compliment. And the reason why he's rarely getting a compliment is, one, if she does do compliments, let's take her line of thinking where she said, you know, I feel like obviously, you know, I feel like obviously I can't trust people, right? So her dropping compliments would be coming out of her shell and reaching outward to you. And so she may not want to do it. But let's take another route, which is that maybe she just doesn't like you. Maybe she does not like you the way she needs to like you, and therefore she can't compliment you because she doesn't feel like she needs to compliment you because she don't like you the way you like her. And so obviously it is a big problem when you're in a relationship and you hear this comment. That's a warning sign. When he said, "Oh, listen, it's rare to hear her compliment me," that's the warning sign that, look, chick, get your arse in order. And I think for many people as well, you may be in a relationship where you're lacking that affirmation verbally. And I think this is where it's important as a relationship, as couples, you take the time out and say, listen, this is what I want. We're going to explain something about Miles too. The reason why he's not getting, I think, a response from Karen too, is because, not just because of masculine, he's not showing enough, you know, drive and aggression. But here, you know, you have to understand that when it comes to, you know, voicing, you know, verbal affirmations, all of us need it. Some of us need it more than others because some of our love languages is word affirmation. So a compliment, you know, an appreciation by word can go a very long way for us to fill in the love tank that we need. So, you know, Miles has made a very key point there. You know, it's very few times I've heard her say that, and that can make you feel like this person's not really in the relationship the way you are. You know what I'm saying? Because we hear it compliment all the time. And what something that was interesting as well, something that I can't remember where it was, but he said something, she laughed, and then...
Don't tell me that, girl. Thank you.
Stop it.
All right.
You know, it said, "Oh, I'm joking. And it's interesting because he did the exact same thing, I think the last episode, another episode before that, where she said something serious or said something joking or seriously about them two, and then she makes a joke like, "Oh, I'm kidding. And I really believe that's a self-defense mechanism to say something and then say, "No, I'm just kidding all the time," when the thing is not a kidding kind of joke. The kidding joke don't work. And so therefore I think she does that to kind of defend herself, like, you know, she's saying what she thinks, but then she recuperates it back because she can't handle the backfire, the backlog.
It feels weird right now, I have to be honest. Like, I haven't done PDA in so long, and it feels weird to have someone like coming up behind me and just like hugging me.
Well, I think alarm bells in my head start ringing. What type of relationship were you in previously? Why is it that it feels weird that someone can kiss you, hug you, come up behind, It's weird for those things. What did you experience in that last relationship? Did that person shake you so much that you're now afraid of physical touch? You're now afraid of allowing someone to be that close and that physical with you? Is it also to do with the fact that your ex-boyfriend potentially could have been abusive? Like, do you know what I mean? Because I'm looking at going, what's the reason for her saying, like, she's not used to this? Like, it wasn't long ago you were in a relationship, so what do you mean you're not used to being hugged? You're not being used to kissed and not used to a person coming up behind you and giving you a hug or whatever. Why aren't you used to that? That's normal behavior that people do when they're in a relationship. So what is it that is changed? What's different? The type of man that you go for. You see, when she said masculine, she's talking about a type of guy she goes for. The type of man that she goes for maybe doesn't do the hugging. It's very stoic, very strong-faced. Yeah, I'm a man. What? Man don't do Uggs around it. You understand? Man don't do emotion, which is why probably she doesn't do emotion, because what she's learned from the past relationship is giving all her emotions to a guy who was unemotional. She's now learned that, okay, fine, I'm not going to give my emotions to someone else. I can't get hurt like that. When I gave my emotions, it got rejected, got pushed back. Because for me to hear that it's weird for someone to come up behind me, I'm like, what? Like, you've been in relationships and you still don't know that someone come up behind you? Like, what were you doing 5 years? Like, how can it be weird? So either you're weirded out by the fact that you've been abused by this previous partner, and so it skewed your kind of thinking in that regard, or maybe you just feel like you don't like Miles doing that. You don't like Miles doing that because you don't think he should be that comfortable. Why? Because you're not feeling him potentially that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to look at different angles. I'm trying to see.
So what is the root of that? What is the root of your fear? Why is there such a fear of letting your true self out?
And then she mentioned about the fact that, you know, she's afraid of someone hurting her, and she needs to trust before she can get physical. And so again, I really appreciate it. I think this is what we need to discuss about relationships and about pain and about getting hurt in relationships. In relationships, they are never easy. Why are they never easy? Because the pain that people experience often is taken into the next relationship. And when we take it onto the next relationship, we feel it and we move with it. And we are trapped by our experiences. And therefore, sometimes we're often doomed to repeat in the next relationship those experiences. All right, because we're trying to learn and trying to make sure we don't make mistakes. We're trying to make sure that we don't get hurt again. We're trying to make sure that we don't get beat up like last time. Do you know what I mean? Emotionally. And so what I see from Karen is a carrying of heavy baggage and an unwillingness to unloading that baggage to get walking with Miles. And I think it's going to take a bit of time before she gets there. But the truth of the matter is also, I think that she just doesn't feel in Miles. Miles does not represent the type of masculinity she talks about. Miles is emotional. He's emotional. He's emotive, right? He deals with emotions, and she doesn't. Why? Because I believe that whatever she experienced in that last relationship, and maybe even with her parents, she's become so hard to emotion that it takes a very long time for the emotion to come out past the shell that she's created to protect herself. And so now what's happening is, as he's trying to tap into the inner core being of herself, she is losing power, she's losing control, so she refuses to give it up by allowing him into her personal space emotionally. I think that's what's happening here.
I'm doing what?
Because, like, putting your feelings or what you need on the back burner, like, I want you to tell me, because at the end of the day, I feel like
Your patience may not be really patience. It may just be that you're excited about something and you're willing, and I don't want to say willing to wait, but we talk about these nice guys, right? These nice guys will always be mine. These nice guys sometimes are actually masking a veil. They're veiling a mask, or let's just say they're holding a mask, right? And that mask is the fact that I'm so nice, I'm so this, I'm that. But then they don't actually say what they actually need. Therefore, then they get hurt in the process. Like, I thought you knew. No, they didn't know nothing. You didn't say any of those kind of things. You know what I'm saying?
Then, like, I feel like to answer that question is tough for me.
Why?
Because if she's happy and like
you were not saying what you needed. You were just kind of chatting and rapping and making noise, but you never stated what you needed. And therefore, what happened is your needs got pushed to a back burner, which is what Miles was even talking about with Karen. And Karen said, listen, I don't want you to keep quiet about your needs. No, you should say it. And I think this is where the masculinity that she's talking about lies. She feels that Miles is not giving her the direction. Let me know what you need. Listen, I'm going to lie to you, Karen. I'm going to be honest with you. I need this in my life. I ain't going to lie to you. Can you proceed with that? Because I'm about that boss, you know what I'm saying? And I think he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to upset her, because he finds her really, really pretty, right? So he doesn't want to upset the balance. But the truth of the matter is, I think she would give more brownie points to him as a masculine male when he tells her straight what it is, you understand? So you hear her saying to him, listen, no, I want you to tell me the truth. Like, tell me what you want. Tell me what you need, you know what I'm saying? I got what you want. I got what you need. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wants that straightforwardness because for her, that's an aspect of masculinity she probably deals with or has dealt with previously as to why she said what she said. And I think that's a key point. And so, when obviously Miles is stating about what he actually wants, he goes on and says, I don't have no issues or nothing like that. And I'm good to go with the flow. Whatever happens, I'm here to be patient. And then Pascal asked one question which decimated it all. Like, are you willing to go without sex in this relationship? And he goes, oh, hell no. And why? Because now we know that you have needs and you have wants, sir. Stop pretending as if you don't have any. Stop trying to be this perfect guy. You are not it. This is why also as well that I agree with Karen saying that I don't trust it, because he's a nice guy and he's too nice. When is the real facade going to crack? When's the real Miles going to please stand up? Please stand up. You know what I'm saying? When are you going to stand up? Because that real Miles is going to have some backbite. That real Miles is going to have a bit of snidey remarks. That Miles is going to say, listen, enough is enough. That Miles is the one that I really want because I know where I stand with him because he's real. You understand? At the moment, you're giving me nicey, trying to be bare understanding, but the truth of the matter is, listen, you need to cool down your fire. You need to cool down what you need. What is it you need, right? Like you said, sex is something that you want in a relationship. You need it in a relationship in terms of where you're going to. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't be without it. And so The issue is that Karen has, I believe, suffered some level of abuse from a past boyfriend. Like, maybe he just really was whack, I don't know. But the way that she's reacting about the fact that they had a baby, it seems like it's more than that. It seems like the baby was the last straw, not the first straw that made you walk, girl. You know what I'm saying? Because of the way you're reacting. So, yeah, guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Click on that bell button for those of you, okay? You already know the motto, baby. You got the minerals, you got the minerals.